everyone. Uh-oh. Hi, this is Lisa coming back to you live with Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. And thank you for my new subscribers. I do videos 2 to 3 times a week. Thank you for being here. Thank you all. I'm showing much love and gratitude to you all for sharing these videos because, as I said, on Friday that people are getting the message and they're commenting, sending me messages about it. And I'm so happy to help you guys to learn what's helped me. As I say in each video, I am not a certified therapist of any sort or have a certified license or certification. What I do in this video is share my information and experiences, tidbits that help me when it comes to grief and loss and healing. So, the information that I'm sharing, I am hoping that it's helping you as well. So, I'm going to say once again before I get started here for those who are interested in more, please contact a certified therapist in your area, in particular, a grief therapists to help you. And, talk to a few of them. And the one that you vibe with, connect with them and then slowly start the working process. And like I always say, it's never going to be easy, but take those baby steps towards that. Everybody heal and grow at a different pace, and that's okay. Be patient with yourself. Also, bereavement groups are helpful because those at the bereavement groups are going through a lot of pain and they're feeling all those different emotions as you are because of the loss, and you may get some tidbits from them as well as to what they're doing to help themselves through it. So please do these things because it's going to help you. Because if you stay in that depression and pain and grief, it's you're going to stay stagnated there, and it can turn into depression, and depression can lead to suicidal thoughts, and we don't want that for anyone here. The message is to heal and to grow, and then to, as you grow, share your experiences with others to help them to grow as well. That's the purpose here. So now we're going to get started. Today's topic of discussion is know your worth. And what I've learned on this path, this journey to healing the grief, for those who don't know, like I said, I've lost a lot. Go back and listen to some prior videos. I've lost 10 people during the shutdown, including my mother, my dog, etc., and good friends. And it was just overwhelming because, like I said before, a domino effect, because it didn't happen just one, isolated incident here and there. It was all that, like a domino effect. One person passed away, then boom, a few weeks later, another and another. During the shutdown, it was overwhelming, and it takes a toll on your physical and mental health, which is important for us to heal that. Healing means that you will love yourself and know that you are worth it. Today, I have some notes here. On Friday, I didn't, but I wanted to cover certain points here today. So just bear with me. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to do something a little different here. Hopefully, it works. But for now, let's talk about self-love. It's important because as you're on this journey to heal and you do the work that your therapist may or may not give you, and you take these tidbits here and do these things at your own pace, you start to get better little by little. Like I always say, you never get over the grief, especially a loved one that meant so much to me or to you, like my mom did. You still have that hole there. You feel that emptiness, but you can get through it. Because think about this, no matter who you lost, when the loss is so painful, I think of it in this way as well. That loved one would not want you to be depressed and stagnated for the rest of your life. They would want you to move on, keep their memories alive through storytelling, etc., but to move on with your life and to embrace life to the fullest and enjoy your life. You know, so that's important. Loving yourself as you heal is so important because as you get to love yourself, you start to know that you are worth it. And not only that you are worth it, you start to establish boundaries so that you can minimize the toxicity around you or that is in your life. That's so important because just think about it. You're already suffering and hurting and grieving. And grief brings on a variety of emotions that you can't control in the beginning. You know, it just comes and goes and then comes again. And who wants to add toxicity to that, to your plate? You know, and that's why it's important as you do this healing work, you start to love on yourself. And as you love yourself, you automatically don't want the toxicity. So you start to learn how to establish boundaries. One of the things at the church that I go to, I learned my pastor had given a sermon a while ago. And I came to church. It was hard this particular time to go because I was feeling grief. You know, Sundays is a hard day for me. And today is Sunday, you know, so I'm on this platform giving back. So he talked about establishing boundaries and enforcing those boundaries. And that's so important as you start to heal this grief little by little, because it takes a toll on your mental and physical health. And it's important that you take care of that, you know, because if you don't, then that deteriorates. Then you can't give to yourself or to anybody else. That's so important. So as you start to heal and do the work, you start to love on yourself and know that you're worth it. And that's important because it will put you in a place of action, to take action. Forgive yourself is another thing that I haven't talked about here that I'm going to talk about today. Forgive yourself for anything that you have done in the past to hurt yourself or someone else. That is difficult for me, and it still is, but not as bad as before. And I'm going to share here. Um, a while back, when my son was about 4 years old, I think he was about four, and I lived in his house. In New York, and my mom came over. I didn't want her to come this particular Sunday. She would come every Sunday. She had clothes and things for my son, you know, her grandson. She was happy because my mom had four girls. She always wanted a boy. And when I was pregnant and she found out it was a boy, she just went all out. And I know she loved my son very much. But the Lisa I was back then, I didn't want to be bothered because she was coming every Sunday and she would stay the whole Sunday night. And, you know, and I know she loved my son, but I was wrong for this. And the old Lisa would never admit this, but the Lisa I am today, I do, because I have to, you know, face this. And I had to face this. And it was so hard, people. My mom passed away in 2020, 3 years ago. And when I started doing therapy with my therapist, I didn't want to talk about this stuff. I didn't want to do the work, none of it. It's like the old Lisa was like, whatever. But I had to, because I had to learn how to heal this. So getting back to the story, my mom called as usual, as she normally did. I'm on my way. I told her not to come. I said I wasn't feeling well, whatever, but that wasn't the truth. The truth of the matter, people, is that I didn't want to be bothered. You know, it was Sunday. I worked during the week, and, you know, it still wasn't an excuse. I should have still allowed her to come see her grandson, bring what she had for him. And she was helping me when she was there as well. I just didn't want to be bothered. I was in this mood. You know, I didn't want to be bothered, whatever. And I told her not to come. And she lived, like, okay, I'll put it this way. She lived in the Bronx. Anybody knows about New York. And I lived in Queens at the time. My mom didn't drive, so she had to take public transportation. So it took her about an hour or close to that to get to my house. And then when she got off the bus, she had to take a train and a bus. Walk that long block up to my house with all the clothes and things that she had for my son. And she banged on the door. I didn't let her in. My next door neighbor called. I said I wasn't letting her in. I don't know what was wrong with me back then, but the least I am today, it just made me cry when I realized what I was doing because it was selfish. And even though I didn't want to be bothered, but I had to find a better way to handle that. And I didn't, people. And she banged for an hour and I didn't let her in. And I'm telling this story and I'm being my authentic self because this is going to help somebody else. Because there are people out there who are grieving, right? And they lost their loved one, passed over, and maybe they did something that they never had a chance to resolve, and they're beating themselves up about it. So I'm going to share something here with you so you can help yourself and know you're not the only one who's feeling that. are going through that. When you know that other people are not flawless and they have issues well as well, you know you're gonna understand it's not just yourself. So she went home. Can you imagine how my mother felt after an hour and I didn't open the door and she had to go drag all the clothes and everything back, wait for a bus, take a train back home. And it hurt her real bad. I should have never done that. I should have found a better way, just let her come and whatever. The least I am today, I would never do that. But the least I was back then did that. And it was wrong and it hurt her deeply. And I tried to have a conversation later on before she passed away, but it was just never right again the way I wanted it to be. You know, she did get to see her grandson after that, but she was never at a point where she felt comfortable to come to my house and spend a night and stay, etc., because of that situation. And I asked God to forgive me for that because I couldn't forgive myself, people, for a long time for that. You know, I was knee deep, knee deep in toxicity because I couldn't forgive myself for that. And especially after she died, you know, and I just felt like, oh, you know, it just, it was wrong. But I can't go back in the past, like, you know, Back to the Future, the movie Back to the Past, go in a machine and go back and correct. I couldn't do that. So I had to work on myself and talk, get out in therapy, you know, because my mom is no longer here. I did have that brief conversation with her, but excuse me, guys. She it didn't it wasn't the way I wanted it to end, but I had to ask God to forgive me and learn to forgive myself as my therapist has been working with me to do. And slowly but surely, I'm doing that because what he said to me, your mother would never want you to live the rest of your life in depression and beating yourself up because of that mistake. And he's right, she would never want that. So I had to work and work through it, the tears, the crying, all of it. And it was hard because it was the wrong thing to do. And maybe this is why one of the reasons I have problems with my own child today because of it. But I accept that because I did the wrong thing, you know, and I ask God to forgive me and help me. But I can't go back and change that. All I can do is help somebody else in this channel and help myself because there are people who may listen to this who may be privately feeling like I was and had a situation like this. Don't beat yourself up. Work through it. Work through it. You know, because your loved one who passed over would never want you to be in this place of pain for the rest of your life. So forgive yourself for what you did, you know, and ask God to forgive you and move through it. You know, it's a process. Everything's a process here. And I had to learn to forgive myself. And sometimes I still think about that, but I'm not in a space where I was overwhelmed with grief because of it. The important thing now to do is to do the work to heal yourself, and by being honest with yourself, your therapist, and with others. And as you do this, you learn to love yourself and do this, you do better. When you know better and you feel better, you do better. That is a fact. Make you oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm getting double tongued. Because I'm really passionate about this. When I talk about this, make yourself and your healing a priority before anything else. Because, like I always say here, if you don't heal the grief, you don't heal the pain, you know, and you stay stagnated, then it affects your physical and your mental health. And then if you can't move forward, and it's important to always move forward, you know, and you have to take care of that. I'm now thinking about something in school and high school. When I graduated, my English teacher, Mr. Krell, wrote something in my book that I didn't understand back then at 17 when I graduated from high school, but I do now. It took me a long time to learn this. He wrote in my book when he signed it, he said, Lisa, never sell yourself short. And he signed his name, and I just didn't understand that. What is this? You know, until years later I understood what this meant. It took me a long time to learn what this meant. And I was being subservient to people because I wanted people to like me and I wanted to be in their life. And even in relationships, I was doing this, because I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontations, and I don't, and my communication wasn't the way it is now because I was just letting people do whatever because it's easier. And even in my family, which I estranged for them because I'm not going to deal with toxicity, and I set boundaries. But getting past that is that, I was looked at, oh, mom's favorite. No, I did what mom wanted and was subservient for the most part, because it was easier, because I didn't have to hear all the other stuff. And so I just did things to let things flow. And I always been like that, people. And it's not good because, I am allowing people to do whatever, and then my needs are not being filled. I'm not happy, but I'm keeping that to myself. And that's the old Lisa would do, and just do what people wanted, whether it was at a job, whether it was in my personal life or with family or whatever. And I'm not that Lisa today. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm not going to be nasty about it, but I'm going to say, hey, this is not working for me. It took me a long time to learn that. And this is one of the things that my English teacher was talking about. Never sell yourself short, and this is something I had to do. I had to learn how to set boundaries. And it took all this pain, all this loss, and all of these negative situations for me to understand, because as I was going through all this pain and loss, the people who I thought I could depend on and could be there, they didn't care. And they showed me that. When somebody show you something, believe it, people. It looks like a duck. It's quacking like a duck. It's talking like a duck. It's moving like a duck. It has to be a duck. Don't say it's a dog, because the handwriting is on the wall. And when people show you this time and time again, that's a red flag. See it for what it is. Address it, set boundaries, and, do what you have to do to limit that toxicity in your life. And I was scared to do that at first. My therapist was urging me that this is what I had to do, because I'll be at sessions with him crying, and this happened, why, I don't deserve it. And he wouldn't tell me do A, B, C, and D, set boundaries. And then I heard it from my pastor at church, and I said, I got to do something here. It was uncomfortable for me at first. It was, because I was scared I was losing people out of my life. But as I sat and pondered and made that list of the pros and cons of what was happening in my life, okay, what are these people adding? I don't care if it's family, friends, or business, whatever. What am I getting from this? What are the pros of this situation, and what are the cons? The cons were outweighing the pros. So I had to close the door. First, before I closed those doors, I had to have communication, conversations about it. And when people, that I was setting boundaries. And when they continue to cross over these boundaries, it's disrespectful. And I would have a conversation again. And then when it happens again, cut off, block, and delete. And people wasn't expecting that from me, because the old Lisa wouldn't do that. I would make excuses. Well, he or she, they went through this or that and blah, blah, this and that, making excuses. But yet they kept disrespecting me and crossing those boundaries. So, cut off, block, and delete. And one thing what people didn't know about me that they thought they knew is that once I cut you off and cut off the situation, I'm done with it. Because that means before I cut you off, I did everything possible to rectify the situation. It takes two, not one person. And when the other person don't want to do that, they want to lay in that toxicity and BS, I leave them there, shut the door, cut off, block, and delete, because toxicity is not my name. Toxicity is not what I'm doing here. I'm healing, and I'm going to stay in that place to heal. When you set boundaries with people, you have to stay in that space, and because the boundaries mean that you're going to limit the toxicity in your life. You're going to limit all that stuff. You're already going through the grief of all the losses or loss within itself. It takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your mental health. Now we're going to add toxicity to the plate. I'm not doing that. You know, it's like I'm going to leave the BS where it is. And I call it that because when someone don't want to hear what you got to say and they don't want to compromise and communicate and they just want the toxicity, I can't do it. That can't be on my plate. So then I have to cut off, block, and delete. And once I do that, there's no reconciling any of that because I've done everything in my power to do that. So now I'm done with it. And people can't deal with that. You know, that's what I'm noticing. But that's on them. It's not on me. I have to leave people where they are because my healing and mental health is everything. And that's what I'm telling people here. Your mental and physical health is everything because you can't take care of yourself. You can't take care of your kids. You can't take care of your household or anything else if your mental and physical health is suffering. That is a priority. And I'm going to talk about this reminds me like of a past relationship situation that I had where I was just dealing with the BS. You know, I saw it, you know, for what it is, addressing matters, you know, and I was being breadcrumbed, gaslighted, dealing with illusions, dealing with a narcissist. And if anyone here has ever dealt with a narcissist, whether it's a relationship, family member, or etc., you know how that goes. Being gaslighted, breadcrumb, etc. One day I woke up to the BS and took the bull by the horns in order to take control of my life again. You know, I'm not going to deal with this. And, you know, I had conversations about it. And when a narcissist brushed off it, like whatever kind of attitude, you know what I had to do? I had another conversation about it. And when the bullshit continued, I took the bull by the horns, took my power back, my energy, and I walked on, moved on, closed the door, block, cut off, delete. And it was like, what? You know, the person was like, I'm not playing because my mental and physical health means everything. That's a priority because that means I can't heal. If I'm not taking care of my physical and mental health, I can't heal. And then when a person, you know, don't want to see me heal, don't want to see me grow, you got to get cut off, block, delete, because no, that's not happening. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to engage in toxicity. I'm just going to cut it off, you know, because, and this is, I'm not telling people to do that. What I am suggesting to you is to set boundaries, especially when you're going through periods of grief and you got all these emotions on the table that's taking place that you're not even accustomed to dealing with because of the grief. Then somebody's going to come with some toxicity. No, 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 thank you. You can keep that. You can have that. And that's the point of where I am. Some people don't like the new Lisa, you know, but the new Lisa has learned to love herself. The old Lisa didn't know how to do that. But as I do the work, you know, and as I do the homework that my therapist gives me, do pros and cons of the situation, you know, and if the cons outweigh the pros, then we need to have a conversation about this. This is another reason why I'm not in a relationship right now. It's not because there's no one interested. It's because everything I do now, I take my time because I need to see what this is. I need to see the toxicity level and if there's anything behind the scenes. So everything I do in business as well, I take my time. And some people don't like that. And I'm thinking about maybe 6-7 months ago when I was attempting to date and it seemed nice, but the person wanted to rush into something. I'm not rushing into anything. I'm taking my time. And the reason why I say the person or etc., because I don't give specifics here. I'm just using that as an example because what I'm talking about, other people who are listening to this channel might be going through that or have gone through that. So, and I'm not using names, places, etc. I'm just using the situation. So getting back to this, so what I did, I had to say, listen, I'm not putting up with this. And and for some reason, people don't believe me. Maybe because I don't act out of character. I don't need to do that. I just need to be myself and you know, let people know. And then when it continued, I cut off, block, and delete. It was like, oh no. I'm like, oh yes, this is how it is now because I can't take that in my life anymore. You know, so like I said, we're coming to the end of this video. So this situation I'm talking about reminds me, let me see if this works because I'm still learning how to navigate stuff here. But I'm going to do this on my phone because certain things I do now, people, I describe it through music. Even if I was in a relationship with someone and I started and it was going, good, I start to express things through music. So I'm going to do this here. Let's see how this worked out. This is how I describe toxicity. I don't know if you can hear this. Hopefully you guys get this. Okay. Hopefully you guys was able to hear that. But if not, let me tell you, that was Aretha Franklin. Her song from the 60s, Your Love is Like a Seesaw. And that's how I felt in that relationship, you know, getting breadcrumb here, a breadcrumb there, up and down and in and out and stuff like that. And I was dealing with it because there was a part of me that I had to understand that I felt like I deserved that. I don't deserve any of that. The least I am today, I know that. And I want to help people here to understand you don't deserve it either. Love yourself, people. Not be in love with yourself. I don't mean that at all, but love yourself love yourself enough to know that you don't deserve bullshit, toxicity. You don't deserve that in your life, especially when you're trying to heal from losses and grief. Take care of yourself here. And a way you can take care of it, I'll tell you one way I do this is through music. I listen to a playlist of music probably almost every day. This morning, I felt that depression coming on a little as I got up, and I was just attempting not to, to stay sleeping in bed longer. But I got up and I was looking at something about Hitsville in Detroit. This was, what's his name? Diana Ross and Barry Gorton. And I watched that, and it's a whole list of music from the 60s and 70s. And it just got me right up, and it just like an adrenaline, and I just got up and did what I have to do. And it's still hard because as the sun goes down, I think about my mom because on Sundays, she used to make a big meal. I used to talk to her. She tells stories, etc. And I don't have that anymore. It's like the matriarchs are all dead now. They're dying off. When we had those family dinners on Sunday and everybody said how their week went, etc. It's like the Waltons family, it's like that doesn't exist anymore. Everything seems to be fake and not authentic today. That's what it feels like to me anyway at times. But, that's what I miss growing up, And I was thinking that I was thinking earlier today that if my mom was here, there's in Detroit, Hitsville, USA. Right now they have it's a museum and you can get tickets and go there. Now, if my mom was here, we would go stay in a hotel there for 2 days and I would take her to that. She would love that. And I was thinking about that today and I got a little sad. And then I said to myself, Mom don't want me to stay in this energy. She wants me to embrace life and live it to the fullest like she did. And that's the intent here. And I'm telling you, your relatives that passed over, that you're grieving, they never want you to be in this space where you're sad and depressed for the rest of your life. They don't want that for you. They want you to embrace your life and live it to the fullest, but keep their memory alive through storytelling, and take one day at a time. If music helps you, do that. Do that little bit by little bit every day. Do something that's going to lift your spirits. Like buy yourself those flowers, those roses you like, things that make you feel at peace, that make you feel good. If you have a pet, a dog, take that dog out, go out, even if it's for a half an hour, do something that you like every day. Make a list of little things to lift your spirits up. You don't have to wait for somebody else to do it for you. Do it for yourself. It's all part of the healing process. And little by little, I promise you start to feel better, and take in as little toxicity as possible, because there's a lot of that in this world today. So take in as little and do things to help yourself. And as you start to feel better, you do better, people. I promise you that. Thank you for listening. I hope you were able to hear that song. But anyway, and invite in all the good, and you'll start to see the changes, even if it's slow. Everybody heals at their own pace, but start the process. I promise you it will get better. The void will always be there of the loss, but you can get through it, is what the key factor is here. Thank you all for listening to this video, and thank you for subscribing. Continue to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with others, because I'm going to have more messages here, to help other people who are hurting. We don't want anyone to stay in a place of depression, but to heal. And then you can put yourself in a position to help somebody else. Thank you for being here. This is Lisa, shedding love and light and shedding truths and helping people. Thank you, and I'll be back to see you in a day or so. Thank you. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Enjoy this weather. Bye for now.